This week I found out that my vocal is currently being used on a WWE entrance track. And people were loving it on YouTube.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. Typically, I hate doing things like this. I hate dogpiling, you know what I mean? And I also don't explicitly call for people's firing, right? Typically, whenever I say things like a superstar being fired or resigning or, you know, future endeavored or whatever, I typically like to give a bit of a caveat just to kind of make sure that, you know, whatever the accused is being accused of, it is all being known strictly as accusations at that point. I would state that this person should be fired if it's true because of this. Like, or if this is true, allegedly, this person should be fired. Something along the lines of that. This is the first time I'm outwardly calling for someone to be fired. Outwardly. Just straight up. There's no caveat. There's no, if this is true or if you feel this way. No. You should be fired specifically because you're bad at your job. Now, you got a taste of it in the intro as far as the explanation is considered. Let me further pile onto that by letting singer Ellie Price finish the point that she was discussing that you heard in the beginning. All right, here, check it out. Hang on for a second. Hang on. I hate when this happens. Unfortunately, YouTube ended up taking this portion of the video and copyright claiming it on behalf of TNA, which is fine. I get it. Hence why I unlisted the video, because I sort of kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. And it didn't. It indeed happened. It is what it is. I took this portion out of the video. The link is in the description box below if you would like to see it in its original form to get better context when going forward in the video. Highly suggest you do that first, then come back and finish the video. Or I'm going to read the article in a little bit anyway, so you can just hear that also. Sorry about that. YouTube. Gotta love them, right? Continuing on. Now, just to corroborate that, I did find this article piece from Fifo that illustrates the point a little bit more, because I know Ellie might have a bit of a heavy British accent, so hopefully this helps out a little bit too, as it, you know, conflates with everything that you just seen in the video itself. Singer Ellie Price recently discovered that Def Rebel used her vocal sample for Fatal Influence's theme, The Chosen. In an Instagram video, as you guys just seen, Price shares that she released a pop-punk vocal sample pack on Splice, a royalty-free music site. Price says that Def Rebel took some of the samples and assumed they ran the samples through an AI program to create a similar but different melody and lyrics. And as you guys noted, as she said in the video itself, to be perfectly clear, they have done absolutely nothing. This is what these samples are supposed to be used for, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked that I have to come across it. Part of me does wish people knew it was me, though. On the Fatal Influence theme, the lyrics have been changed from Price's sample song, which Price points out, and I cannot pronounce this at all. I'm gonna try though. Layla Carvalho, Peruso, I guess, on Gaku, wrote about Def Rebel using a Splice sample for The Chosen in April. The vocals, performed by Bianca Sperduti, a Def Rebel collaborator since 2020, she's also credited as a songwriter on streaming platforms, are not direct lyrical copies of any known sample, but the melody tone and vocal delivery match a royalty-free vocal line available on Splice. It's clear that the performance built around the original sample with only slight lyrical variation. And then they note the fact that Def Rebel have been using themes for WWE since 2019. Again, this is a Fifo link if you guys want to look at it yourselves. Just to, I don't know, follow along with me, run it back. You love the sound of my voice, sock in your hand. I don't know. You let me know, okay? You let me know. And people were also talking about the fact that this is not their first time doing this, that they have multiple examples. I guess I can go down the list because there's like maybe 4 or 5 different examples of them clearly using AI in order to make up for their lack of creativity for some superstars. Like here's another example of apparently them doing it to Dakota Kai. Again, there's multiple examples, but here's another clear-cut one that they clearly didn't obviously do anything. It was clearly AI. Check it out.
Slipping through our fingers, there's nothing we can do. It's dark every hour, but still I choose you. I choose you.
It's slipping through our fingers, there's nothing we can do. It's dark every hour, but still I choose you. I choose you.
So then now the point starts to get made, right? Like now people have legitimately come to the consensus that if you're gonna just keep you, because you know everybody nowadays, they're having a problem with AI, and I personally think AI is fine in certain sectors and they're not fine in other sectors. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion, I personally think AI is fine when you're using it for your own personal benefit and you don't have any employees or stuff like that. Like me, for an example, right? I know, very convenient, right? Suck my dick. No, but seriously, I use it for my thumbnails sometimes. Not to create the thumb. Some of them I might actually use to create the thumbnail, but I add to it obviously. But other times I use AI technically, because I mean that is technically AI. When you remove backgrounds, right? You remove backgrounds from photos because you want to create a certain image that matches the title, right? Or you want to be over grandiose, and it's really, really hard to go out of your way nowadays to be as pinpoint as certain artists. Would I consider myself an artist? Abso-fucking-lutely not. There are people who are actually out there who can legitimately create what I'm doing with AI freehand. And it's like, I can't do that. It takes talent to do that, right? Obviously. And that's when the problem starts to come at him, because people feel like if you want the talent, you should be able to pay the people for the talent. But my thing is, it's like, I feel like if that would be a problem if that was explicitly what you were doing. Like, you know, like for an example, if I was an artist, right, a legitimate artist, and I didn't do YouTube, I didn't do anything else, my actual paying job is drawing pictures or illustration or something like that, or animation, anything along those lines. And then I use the AI in order to, you know, create an image or create. I feel like that's a problem. That's obviously a problem, right? You're cheating. You're stealing at that point, right? You're not an artist. But I feel like if you're doing extracurricular activities and essentially what that AI provides for you is pretty much the ends justifying the means, you know what I mean? It's just the add-on. It's not really the focal point of what you're actually doing. I see no point in getting angry over that, at least in my opinion, right? I see that no different than you buying a video game and using cheat codes in order to beat the game. You know, I don't feel like cheat codes necessarily is something that you should probably do in the sense of actually getting fulfillment from the game, but you're not hurting anybody. It's your game, it's single player, and you're going to use the cheat codes in order to help you finish the game. That's not hurting anybody. Was it the intended purpose? No, but it's in the game. They're saying they're allowing you to use it. Probably be best if you actually play the game legitimately, but it's not hurting anybody. That's how I feel about AI. And obviously, Def Rebel, they go well beyond their means in regards to not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I forgot the name of the people that were before them that were doing theme songs for WWE. I can't remember their names. Someone could probably tell me in the comment section. But I didn't like their music either. I thought their music, but then again, to be fair, this is like 2010s music, and it's just like I don't listen to 2010s music at all. I don't know any relevant artists outside of hearing their names. I don't know any of their music. I know nothing about any artist from like probably 2009 going forward. I just don't know any artist's music. I don't listen to it because it's just not my cup of tea. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't like it inherently, not because one song, you know, represents one genre. It's just I don't like that type of sound. I don't like that production. I don't like the fact that rock music nowadays has been completely overtaken by different instruments, and there's no highlighting enough guitar, bass, vocals, and drums. I don't like the music. It's very overcomplicated. I feel like there's no emotion attached to it, at least for me. It's not as raw as I would like for it to be. It's just not my cup of tea. But if it's yours, good job. But nevertheless, though, this group beforehand, they were using that music in order to create their music. But here's the thing: no matter what I think of their music, two things. One, if for nothing else, all I ask for in my wrestling, even if I don't like the music inherently, all I ask for in my wrestling is that it fits the personality of the superstar, right? That's all I ask for. It could be terrible music, but it fits, right? It fits. That's what they did, right? The group before Def Rebel. At the very least, no matter how much I dislike their music, it fit the superstar, which is a good thing. And obviously, you go before them, and you have the legendary GOAT of all GOATs, Jim Johnston, who goes all the way back to the 1980s, and his music wasn't just fitting the superstar, it sound fucking fantastic. It sound amazing, obviously, right? Now you have some superstars where the music can be a little bit, monotone. Like obviously you have Mr. Perfect's theme song, you have Macho Man Randy Savage's theme song, but it didn't matter. It fit the superstar so fucking well that you actually conflated that theme song with that super. Like when people hear Pomp and Circumstances, they don't think of graduations or like people, in a ceremony and stuff. No, they think of Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, dig it. Like that's what you think of when you hear graduation music. You don't think of people with diplomas and you think of the Macho Man twirling, the cocaine swirling. That's what you think of. And that's what makes Jim Johnston such a fucking GOAT. You know what I mean? You can go further also. Obviously, you think of Hogan's music. You hear the guitar, the ding, 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 ding. You know it's Hogan. You hear some other things song like Rick Rude. Ding, ding, ding. Well, actually, no, I guess that would have been the remake, right? I think he had the porn theme song that ding 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 ding. Like that's Rick Rude. Like you hear that and you automatically think of porn, 1970s heavy mustache porn, and Rick Rude, which is fine. Think of Rude first. You hear Ultimate Warrior, the high energy, like you hear it, you know it's Ultimate Warrior, right? And it goes on and on. You go to the 90s, obviously, and you hear Shawn Michaels. You hear Sherry Martel's vocals. You know it's Shawn. You hear that electric slide going down the bridge. You know it's Brett. You know what I mean? You hear a car crash or a car accident. Well, I guess that could be a little bit confusing because, that could be Razor Ramon or it could be, Foley. But still, though, you get the point. You hear the glass breaking. It's Austin. You hear the bell. You hear the baritone, it's Taker, you know what I mean? For Who the Bell Tones, right? You hear the demonic music coming out as if it's an organ plant. Well, it is an organ. It's Kane. You hear the If You Smell, it's The Rock. You hear that wow, 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 wow. Come on. I got you. It's Jericho. It goes on and on. It wasn't just the fact that the music fit the personality of the superstars when reflecting off of Jim Johnston's work. It was the fact that it sounded good on top of that. And that's so rare nowadays. Like Jim Johnston legitimately put his heart, his soul, his work into whatever theme song that he was curating for a superstar. Or I guess curating as far as what he was trying to see fit best, but creating nonetheless, right? And hell, he would even have a special talent where he will go well and beyond just as superstars. I don't know any of the guys, and maybe they did, I'm not aware. I can for sure say not Def Rebel because they're lazy and they fucking suck. I can't say the same for the other guys before this, or Cash Factory, whatever the fucking names are. But Jim Johnston, he did pay-per-view themes also. You know what I mean? Like, he did pay-per-view themes so well, you couldn't even decipher whether or not it was a legitimate song on the airways, or if it was like, a song from Jim Johnston. SummerSlam 2002, I think, being the perfect example. Fight. There's no way people hear that song and they legitimately think to themselves, oh, that was made by a WWE employee. It sounds like a mainstream song. It took me almost 20 years to realize the Armageddon, the end is near. I always thought that was like some Doors cover band or like some dude who was like impersonating Jim Morrison or some shit. No fucking clue that was Jim Johnston's band. No fucking clue. No clue. Just like DX had no clue that Jim Johnston was collaborating with the late Chris Warren to come up with, you know, the DX band. That was Jim Johnston's band also. Taker's theme song, the You're Gonna Pay, that was Jim Johnston. The V1 version with the instrumental in Judgment Day 2002, the one that he did the last instrumental before the actual vocals, and then the vocals one in itself. That was all Jim Johnston. Dude was his own legitimate fucking factory, and he did it from his own noodle. That's talent. That's art. That was no AI. There was no AI back then. That was all Jim Johnston. He is the GOAT of all GOATs. No one touches Jim. And then you have these dorks over here who can't even fit his fuck. I mean, this is like this fucking downgrade. It's like, really, and I find it very funny also. It can't be too coincidental that someone like Jim Johnston coinciding over some of the greatest periods in wrestling history, it can't be no coincidence that as he left, or I guess unfortunately got dismissed, and you had other people fill his shoes, you can see the actual decline in the product. It's like they matched the product, right? The group before Def Rebel, they matched the product at the time as far as like how much of a decline it was, but at the same time at least watchable. And then you have Def Rebel at a time where professional wrestling is at its lowest point as far as watchability. And of course, their stuff that they have coinciding with the product perfectly matches up. It's soulless. It doesn't get you hyped up at all. You don't pay attention to the music at all. There are no signatures attached to it. None of it. It's just, it goes well beyond mid. It fits. It's AI. It's all AI. Nothing about what Def Rebel has done legitimately makes me feel energized or makes me feel like I can sing this song to my head. I can play it in my mind, and no, none of that. You know, even some of the people outside of Jim Johnston that just, or maybe they collaborated with Jim Johnston. You know, things like Salivas, right? Like whenever you think of Batista, you know, like you think of like obviously him doing the machine gun pose and the fireworks in the background, but it doesn't hit the same unless you're singing the lyrics in your head, right? I walk a mile inside my pit of, whatever the lyrics are. I walk a mile inside this pit of danger. There you go. And like, you know, you got to do the yeah part when you're fucking doing the machine gun shit, right? You don't have that nowadays, right? Like, you get, when you hear Austin's theme song in your head and you pick up something, you gotta smash it together. Like you just got to, and you gotta hear in the back of your mind the ding 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 ding. It fits. No superstar has that nowadays. The most well-known wrestling superstars nowadays, as far as theme songs go, have nothing to do with Def Rebel. Like almost all the songs you're hearing, singing from the audience and everything, it's the superstars. Like you hear Randy Orton, people singing Randy Orton's theme song, that's Randy Orton. People who sing Cody Rhodes' theme song, that's Cody Rhodes on special. It's another band, but they collaborate with Cody Rhodes outside of WWE. The only one that I can think of, if someone can correct me, maybe Seth Rollins, and I'm not even too sure about that. That might be Def Rebel's theme. Again, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is garbage. And now we know that they're using AI. Fire them. I know that you might. The problem with Jim Johnston nowadays is that maybe Jim Johnston is maybe a little bit past his prime in the sense that he doesn't fit the environment of today's wrestling. Like, I get it. I understand. I get it. Like, you bring Jim Johnston in nowadays, his influences are going to be very, very straightforward from the 60s and the 70s, maybe even the 80s, which helped out in the 2000s because those artists were influenced by artists in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, right? Today, you have people who are influenced by the 2000s, the time when Jim Johnston was winding down. You know, like your songs that you hear in your music nowadays, you know, like they're influenced by the 2000s and maybe some 80s and 90s, but that's more so just covering the song in itself, right? Not the actual, you know, approach. The approach is 2000s. Maybe even 2010s in some occasions. Jim Johnston probably wouldn't fit today's environment. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't, but he wouldn't. in my opinion. Def Rebel actually does fit the aesthetic of today. Their music just fucking sucks. But if they're lacking this much, soul, if they're just this bad at their job, if AI is legitimately running rampant and they're not even doing their job to the best of their ability, fire them. Get rid of them. Find other people to do the job for them. Hopefully good ones. But let me hear your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to how you felt about the video. What were your favorite songs from Def Rebel? Go ahead, list all 3 of them for me down in the comment section below. Who do you think, if there are people that I'm unaware of who could probably fill the role for what these assholes are currently doing right now? And I am kind of curious as to how you guys feel about AI and how it's currently being produced, and essentially, how do you feel it fits in the world today as time starts to go on, and do you feel like it's a necessity as much as people make it out to be? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you fine folks later. A deuces and a P ice.